Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a seriously cinematic, deeply emotional journey right back in time. We're traveling over 2,000 years into the past, diving straight into the ancient, poetic world of Tamil Sangam literature. But hey, we aren't just looking at dusty history today. We're actually exploring the very language of human emotion. You see, in the Sangam age, nature wasn't just some pretty backdrop for a story. Nature was the story. Every mountain, every monsoon rain, every wild animal, it was all a profound reflection of the human heart. And today, we're zeroing in on one of the most powerful, enduring symbols of them all, the wild deer, and how it literally became the ultimate mirror for the romantic heroine. So, let's jump right in.
Okay, let's dive into this. Just listen to this beautifully simple line, the one with the innocent gaze like a deer. It's amazing, right? It instantly bridges that gap between the untamed natural world and human beauty. For these ancient Tamil poets, a young woman in love wasn't just vaguely like a deer. Her entire spirit was completely intertwined with the spirit of the misty forest.
Section 1. The Eyes of the Deer, Visualizing the Heroine. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at how these ancient poets visualize the heroine. They didn't just rattle off a basic list of human features. Instead, they looked deep into the forests and saw the wild deer, known as manya in Tamil, as the absolute physical embodiment of feminine grace. Look at the comparison here. They meticulously mapped the deer's physical traits directly onto the heroine's emotional essence. When Sangam poets wrote about the heroine's eyes, they described them as large, dark, and compassionate, but also filled with this intense mix of fear and overwhelming love. Wide-eyed, alert, deeply gentle, and just remarkably pure. Basically, when you looked into the eyes of the heroine, you were literally looking into the wild, vulnerable eyes of a forest deer. Section 2. Shyness in the Forest, the Behavioral Mirror. Now, here's where it gets incredibly fascinating. These poets weren't just obsessing over physical looks, they were absolute masters of deep behavioral psychology. They moved way beyond simple visual comparisons and used the deer as a behavioral mirror for the heroine's inner turmoil. Picture this cinematic scene in your mind for a second. There's a sudden crack of a twig in a dense, misty forest. A wild deer instantly startles. It freezes. Its heart is just pounding. It hesitates for a fraction of a second, and then, seized by this mix of fear and sheer instinct, it darts away from the hunter, disappearing into the safety of the trees. The poets used this exact, vivid imagery to perfectly capture the shy heroine. They compared her overwhelming modesty, that sudden blush and her intense hesitation in the face of a new, powerful love, right back to that startled deer. The emotional rush of romance is that sudden sound in the forest, and her sudden shyness is the deer darting into the mist.
To understand exactly how they pulled this off, we need to put on our literary detective hats and look at a brilliant poetic device called allegory. Think of allegory as an implicit metaphor, an inner meaning completely hidden within descriptions of nature. When a Sangam poet talks about a deer drinking water or searching for shade, they're actually speaking in a secret code. The animal's behavior is a direct, coded translation of complex human emotion and devotion. It's so clever.
Section 3. Landscapes of Sacrifice, Case Studies in Devotion. Now, what's really interesting about this secret code is how we see it play out across entirely different environments. In Sangam poetry, extreme landscapes perfectly mirror extreme emotional devotion. First up, we're traveling to the harsh, dry, blistering environment known as the Palai, the desert wasteland. This comes from a really famous poem, Kuden Tokai 347. The heat is just unforgiving. There's barely a drop of water, just maybe a tiny bit of salty moisture seeping between dry rocks. And standing right there in this barren wasteland is a vulnerable, desperately thirsty female deer alongside her mate. You can literally feel the tension building in this environment. So let's decode the ulurai here. In the literal scene, the male deer knows there's only enough salty water for one, so he puts his mouth to the puddle and makes a slurping sound, basically faking that he's drinking, just so the female deer will believe it's safe to drink the few drops that remain. It's heartbreaking, but the hidden meaning? That's about the human hero. Traveling through this exact same desert, having left his love behind to seek wealth, he witnesses this unbelievable sacrifice. He realizes that if a wild animal can show such profound, self-sacrificing love, how on earth can he leave his own fragile heroine waiting in tears? The deer's sacrifice triggers his ultimate realization of love and duty, and he actually turns back. We see this same urgent, tense pacing in another incredible desert poem, Akanamanuru 32:1. Imagine a landscape of totally barren, leafless trees beneath a blazing, merciless sun. There is absolutely zero shade. And a young human couple is eloping, trying to navigate this incredibly dangerous terrain. In this poem, observers notice a male deer standing directly in the scorching, unbearable sun. And why? Simply so he can cast his own shadow over the female deer, protecting her from the heat. The hidden meaning is just beautiful. The observers are actually blessing the escaping human lovers, explicitly comparing the hero's fierce, protective love for his new bride to that majestic, self-sacrificing deer. The natural world is literally acting as an omen and a blessing for the humans. But hey, it isn't all harsh deserts. Let's take a deep breath and shift over to the Mulaya forest in Natranai 252. The dark clouds have gathered and the long-awaited rainy season has finally arrived. The landscape is instantly transformed into this lush green paradise. Families of deer are happily coming together, just wandering freely among the fresh grass. While the female deer walks safely and happily with her young, closely guarded by the male deer, the hidden meaning here is deeply comforting. You see, a heroine is weeping, enduring the agonizing pain of separation from her lover. Her best friend points to the forest and essentially says, "Look at the deer. The rains have united them. Nature is healing. Your hero will return to you just as surely as the monsoon brings the deer together." The visual of these united animals serves as a direct, powerful emotional anchor for the human heart.
Section 4. Karinji, Nature as Emotion. Let's zoom out a bit now and look at the grand ecosystem of Sangam poetry. Specifically, we need to talk about the ultimate landscape of romance. In classical Tamil poetry, landscapes aren't just geography, they are highly specific moods. And the mood of intense, secret love belongs entirely to the mountains. This is Karinji, the mountainous landscape of misty peaks, secretive waterfalls, midnight meetings, and passionate youthful romance. The emotional nuances of this landscape are perfectly illustrated through its poetic nature motifs. The deep valleys, the sudden rains, the blooming of rare Karinji flowers, they all echo the turbulent, absolutely beautiful feelings of falling in love. And what's the primary animal that roams this romantic mountain terrain? You guessed it, the deer.
And this brilliantly illustrates how, in Sangam literature, the environment itself is completely inseparable from human feelings. The mist hiding the mountains perfectly mimics the secrecy of the lovers. The secret of waterfalls represent the overflowing of their hidden emotions. And the deer, wandering through this realm of youthful romance, is the heroine. Her innocence, her startling joy, her deep vulnerability, it is all physically manifested in the wildlife roaming those Karinji hills.
Section 5. Timeless Mirrors of Love, the Universal Takeaway. As we bring this ancient text into the modern day, we really have to ask ourselves, why does this 2,000-year-old poetry still resonate with us so deeply? Well, because when the Sangam poets compared a lonely deer wandering the valleys to separated human lovers yearning for connection, they were showing us that the deer was never just a prop in their stories. It was a profound psychological mirror. We all experience that vulnerability, that deep longing, and that instinctual romantic devotion. By projecting those intense feelings onto the natural world, the poets gave form to emotions that are often just too overwhelming to put into simple words. So the crucial point is perfectly captured right here. In Sangam poetry, the deer is not merely a wild creature, but a living expression of human feeling. Whether it's the 1st century or the 21st century, our fundamental need to express the overwhelming, complicated nature of love through the beauty of the natural world hasn't changed one bit. We still look to the stars, the oceans, and, yes, the forests, to understand our own hearts. Which leaves us with an absolutely fascinating question to ponder. If a deer in a mist-covered ancient forest can so perfectly capture the nuances of human shyness and longing, what other emotional mirrors is nature holding up to us right now, today, just waiting to be noticed? Next time you take a walk in the woods or watch an animal in the wild, ask yourself what part of the human experience they might be acting out. Thank you for joining me on this explainer through the beautiful poetic ecology of ancient Tamil literature. Stay curious and keep looking for the hidden meanings all around you.